Shiurim and Brocha. Let's return to the Tzav Veziruz. We're holding by the next chapter. We're entitled The Power of Jewish Joy and Tears. Now, this is a record that the Rebbe wrote of some of his thoughts and feelings from the Heilige Yom Tovim and the Shuni Yom Kippur Sikis of 1933. Now, it's important to have that in mind. 1933. There was never any really good old days in Poland. 1933 was between the two wars. I think things must have been percolating already, coming out of Germany, and as a whole, there was tremendous deprivation and starvation, and the influence of the Haskalah was great. So in the midst of all that, the Rebbe has to tell us. As I said, this is a journal. He talks about everything that goes on in his own orbit of life. And he says, I want to tell you about those Yom Tovim, especially about the dancing. He says, Eibishter, do you not hear our cries? What will you do with the countless Jewish tears that was shed during the past days of awe, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur? What will you do with the oceans of Jewish tears spilled over the last 2 decades, meaning from by the First World War on forward, right? During the past 2,500 years, have these waters of holy passion, these tears, these tränen, God forbid, chas v'shalom, like rivers running into the ocean. And what are you, what are you doing with all these tears? And with your own tears, says the Rebbe. It's powerful stuff. With your own tears. You know, lahavdu, that you shed every day over our desolation and our affliction. I've said this many times. The Shekhinah is in Golus with us. And we cry, Kav Yuchel Da'ibishter weint sich mit. And he has his own pain, because we're in pain. So the Rebbe says, where's all these tears? What's happening with them? Eibishter, intimate, eminent, creator of the world. You have created worlds beyond worlds. And each you have created countless creatures. The world is full of all these, right? Yet in all the vast infiniteness of your universe, only man have you created, Eibishter. Only we, human beings, were created specifically to serve you. All the others do not really serve you and cannot proclaim you, Eibishter, as the ultimate master, the Rebbeinu Shalom of the world. And out of all mankind, says the Rebbe, it is only the Yidden, the Jew, who, with his heart and his soul, is ready to be an oived, to serve you. Merciful Father, the Bam Dikatata, we bear suffering to serve you. And you seem to be, it's a hestapon. We don't see you. You're from a distance. What? Our neshamas pour forth with our tears in order to serve Kaviyucha to you. We daven to speak to you. And sometimes you seem to watch with impassion. The entire world derides us, and beats us, because we refuse to deny you, Eibishter. You are, and you, are you going to beat us as well? We seek asylum from the Holocausts. This is before the war yet. But as I said, pogroms and tzores and people were running. And it says, we seek asylum from all the tzores in your, and we seek to be with you, Eibishter, under your, that you should bring the Mashiach, will be safe. And yet, there's a hestapana. We don't see you. We can't find you. We don't see your presence. We lift up our spirits by calling to our Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, Father in heaven. Are you then shutting out our cries by closing the gates, the share, the gates of Shemayim? Surely we've sinned. And you have many claims against us, Eibishter. Let our prosecutors bear witness. Throughout all the cosmos, only the Jewish people rose to say slichas. No one else does that. But who but us, the Jewish people, blew shofar throughout the heavens? And who so enlightened the Shemayim with Yom Kippur, with Sukkot, with Lulav, with Esrik? Only the Jewish people do this for you. So then he goes even further. He says, heavenly prosecutors, those malachim that stand up against us to say edus against us. How dare you lay claim against the Jewish people? Are you not in awe to stand in front of the lowliest of our people? It is not before that person, that lowliest person that you should tremble. You should be tittering, even from a person who has seemingly no connection, but he has something that no one else has. He has a pintalayit. He has a bit of the infinite, the neshama in him, in each of us. Each of us has that pintalayit. So the Rebbe says, and people should, the malachim should stand aside. Look at, I don't care who it is. It could become a flame. He says, throughout this endless, dark, and bitter exile, when it seemed that the Jewish service, the avodas Hashem from Ayid, was indeed undesired in Shemayim, we thought that God gave up on us. When it seemed that even our best neshamas were unworthy of consideration, we felt so far away and lost. When the entire world stands up together to destroy us, as if from chas v'shulim, as if from the presence of Kaviyuchel, the Eibishter alone has cast us aside. Such desolation. He speaks of such emotion. What could you say? So when darkness has covered the face of the earth, with no profit to brighten up our broken hearts, and no chayzer, no seer, no profit to lift up our broken spirits, when only fear fills our heart and terror grips the mind of the thinker, then, if any Jew retains faith in God and continues to do his best in the avodas Hashem in his service, this cannot be any human spirit. This is a power of the infinite, of Kaviyuchot the Eibishter, in me, in each Jew. Despite everything, we run to daven, we dance, we cry. Heavenly prosecutors, bear witness to this. Our devotion surpasses that of all the malachim, of all the serufim. The infinite Eibishter, the unlimited one, resides even in our little kinderlach, in our children. And this explains it. Honor the one who resides within us. And dare you not lay claim against the Jewish people. Then he goes on to say, and all you departed neshamas, into the tatas, zaitas, the malachim, the neviim, the tzaddikim who have passed away. How can you keep silent? How can you keep silent at this time? Who made this Gan Eden so illuminated, if not us on earth, during our davening and during our dancing and during our mitzvahs? We create illumination that lights up the Shemayim. Whence came your dancing on Simchas Torah? Malachim, the Uvas, the Neshamas, they dance. Where did you get that from? It came from us, because we were dancing. It must be that the dancing of the earthly Jew has aroused you also to dance. Because when a Jewish person rejoices, the essence of the neshama, the Yiddish neshama, is aroused. And this collective neshama, all the neshamas together, all are one, right? The Jewish neshama, this great cosmic neshama, whose source is from the others and Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, right? All this is encompassed in the simplest Jew, a little guy who's just trying, and it all dances around God. That's what Yom Tov was. He says throughout the year the Jew carries a heavy burden, gets up, davens every day, goes to shul, does his best, kashrus, all these things that we're constantly reminded of. How much effort it is then to rejoice on earth with the Eibishter Simchas Torah. Perhaps only after uplifting days of the Yom Tovim of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur that precedes it is a Jew able to perform such a miraculous feat. I'll leave it. This is the middle of a long mimer. We'll leave it for next week to pick up. But I think you get some idea of the fire. I'll tell you a story. It's late, but I'll throw the story. The Gestadiner Rebbe was not a chassid. As a younger man, he lived in Gestanin. His father-in-law was a Mesnagid. Didn't come from Chassidut. One time, he's sitting in the base medrash in Shtetl, learning Torah, and a strange man comes walking in. It's a rough-looking fellow with such a kishketel, a Jewish Polish hittel, and payas, and for a gartel he had straw, a rope like, and must have been a wagon driver. I'm not sure what. A rough-looking guy. walks over to the Gestidin, to this younger man, the Gestidin Rebbe. He was then just a koidel younger man. Says, Rabbi Yid, you have a patalis and tefillin. I left mine at home. I have to daven. He looks at him. He's got a brand new talis. He just got married, and this guy looks a bit rough. No, Rabbi Yid, what's nice? He's not good. You know what? I'll go find somebody. No, he felt bad. So he says, okay, here. And trembling hands him a brand new talis with his tefillin. The Yid puts on the talis, and he starts walking around. Then he looks out the window. He stands looking out the window almost a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. Oh, just looking out the window. Oh. Then all of a sudden, he runs over to Reuven Kodesh. And he places his face into the bereiches, the velvet of the bereiches, and the tears go running down. Who? Irish there. The man looks at this and says, what's going on here? So the Yid finishes what he wraps up the talis and he pushes it back into the hands of the Gestadina, and he feels that the talis is soaking wet from the tears and the effort and the schweiß, the sweat. Ooh. So the Yid looks at him and says, don't worry. It will dry. So the Gestadina says, I don't want him to dry. I want to be able to daven like you just put in such an avoider. What were you looking outside? What was that all about? And he said he was watching soldiers, listening to a captain, listening to a major, and they're all nothing. And ich habe der Eibishter, who told me to put on talis and tefillin now. Oh, I got so. So the Gestadina says, how could I daven like that? How could I keep my talis so wet with tears? So the Reed says, for that, my friend, that's the fooling of Kotsk. Kotsk will teach you how to daven. And the Gestadina gewon a Kotsk chusid from that moment on. Yidlach. So much going on and on. So hard, I know, we're sitting in such a difficult time. Listen to the Rebbe. You have the nekuda of Yiddish, of a neshama within you. Cherish it, caress it. And it was a chvat to say, Kol Tuv.